Are you tired of dying? Do you die every game? Well, look no farther than this video. What's going on, guys? My name's CyberHealer, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 best operators for you noobs out there, so that you'll stop dying less and start getting better at the game. So let's get into it. A few things before we start. Make sure you subscribe if you want to keep up to date and learn a little more about Siege along the way. And if you want to pick up any of the peripherals I used, links will be down in the description. Alright, and without further ado, let's get into it. First operator on this list is I'm going to go ahead and throw Ashe on here. Ashe is a very good operator for new and old players. We'll call them old players, veteran players, anyone who's played the game for a long time. And the reason I say this is Ashe has this ability to be almost good in any team comp to some degree. Her gun, and that's mostly why she's on here, along with her utility, she has very little recoil on her R4C, which can be very good for players, especially new players that have very little FPS background. So if you've never played any kind of first-person shooter, you're going to be pretty in the dark here, and that's where Ashe comes in. You won't have to learn how to control that recoil yet. So that's why Ashe is going to be on this list. Plus, her breaching rounds are really good because you can breach soft surfaces from a distance, and you'll learn kind of along that way as you can break through that. This is what I can't and can do. It'll teach you the basics of Siege, and I think that's honestly what a operator for a new player should be doing. Next up on this list, I'm going to go ahead and put Twitch on here. And I know this makes some sense and not a lot of sense to other people. The reason I want to put Twitch on here is honestly because of her ability. Her guns are okay. Her DMR can shoot through walls and make a lot of holes, so you can get some really good angles, and that'll teach you a lot about that. She has stuns, and claymores. If you have maybe the diffuser or something like that, you can just claymore the diffuser and they won't be able to touch it. Very good for planting the bomb, or the diffuser, and you'll be able to really anchor that site down. Along with the fact that her drones can destroy Jaeger, Mira, any electronical device that is utility. And your drones will actually help you learn what devices go with different operators and stuff like that, so that you, as the player, can give better calls to your team, learn the operators not by playing them, but by knowing what they do. And basically it helps you learn, okay, this is this operator and this is how this operator plays. Also, it can kind of teach you the basics of droning and how to drone, and which way you should do it and which way you shouldn't, and what's the proper way. And that's honestly a great thing for most Siege players, is even at gold and plat level, you really don't drone out that much. And you really should be doing it because it's very effective. You'll know more information over time. And I think if you play Twitch, you're really going to start to understand that this is the way that you should drone out. So that's why Twitch is on this list. Next up on this list is going to be Doc, the no assembly required operator. Now, Doc, the reason I say it has no assembly required is he doesn't have any devices. He's a very straightforward. He's got his MP5 and his utility. His main gadget is just a stem pistol. So all you have to do is really just kind of shoot your ally to heal them. Kind of like on a front Overwatch. So you really don't have to set anything up on the site, and that can really help your team in a way. Yes, you lose like a Kapkan trap or a Jaeger denial thing if you didn't bring it. But you also have a person that's dedicated to reinforcing the walls and hatches while the rest of your team is doing what they have to do. And that can be really good for a new player to learn the basics of what wall should I reinforce, what shouldn't I reinforce, what is the way that each operator plays, and how should I set up to be able to heal them. It'll really teach you placement and stuff like that. which is really good to understand as a new player. And that's honestly what most of this list comes down to, is understanding the basics of the game, because that's what new players need to learn. And then next up, we're going to have Rook. And you're going to think, if you've played the game for a while, or you're just getting into it, but you have some prior knowledge, Rook is a lot like Doc. Yes, but Rook's almost easier to play at Doc than Doc, and he provides a little more like secondary gadgets than Doc. So all you have to do as Rook is just place your gadget wherever you'd like to do it, because if you don't place your gadget, then Rook is useless. A lot like Doc. If you die early, it's not going to work. But once you place the gadget in the prep phase, even if you die, you've done your job as Rook. So that makes him really good. He also has the ability to bring an impact nade. So you'll be able to make 2 rotates, and you'll be able to learn what you should make rotate holes and where you should place them, stuff like that. And it'll really help you understand the basics of that side of the game. He has the 2x scope on his MP5 versus Doc's MP5 with the 1x5 scope. So if you want a little more range, if you're trying to play a different angle, you might want to pick up Rook. I mean, I'd recommend dropping him once you kind of learn the game a little more, but he's good for your first 20 levels or so. And that's honestly what we're trying to really target here. Last up on this list is we're going to have Kapkan. We're going to have Kapkan. Now, I had Kapkan in my last video, linked here. You might notice that he can be pretty easy to play, and that's why he's on this list. His traps have multiple ways they can be played. The most common way is to crouch and then place them, or just place them normally. They can put on windows and doors and all sorts of things, and that can really help. His gun has very little recoil if you use the SMG, so that can really help new players as well, really getting a feel for just leaning and playing the angles correctly. And just Kapkan's overall design is very good. He's a 2 armor, 2 speed, can really anchor a sight well for those who need to learn how to do that. You can also play him as a roamer, so if you're learning how to roam or anything like that. And that's honestly my list for the top 5 best operators for noobs in Rainbow Six Siege. If you liked my list, let me know down below. Or if you add a different operator on this list, tell me who you put on this list and who you take out. And until next time, guys, make sure you subscribe, and peace.